And the reason that we're here today is I'm running a beautiful series that I am trying to promote healing within ourselves. My first video was with art, and today we have Peggy visiting, which I'm very, very excited and honored to have you here. We're going to be discussing PFLAG. So first, before we jump into that, I just want to say that, again, I'm really lucky to know you, Peggy. We've known each other for about a year now. It feels a lot longer, only because I feel like maybe I've known you before. And we just started and ran with it, which is really great. We're both yoga teachers. So that's where our common bond has happened, which we love morphing out, and we will definitely have videos on that. But Peggy, I wondered if you could start just by introducing yourself, letting us know who you are, and maybe just starting through that yoga lens of what brought you to PFLAG.
Okay, happy to. Again, I'm Peggy, and I've been teaching something to someone for 30 some years. I was a public school teacher before I retired twice. I've been teaching yoga for about a decade now. And in all of this, teaching has made me, I believe, a lifelong learner, so that when I'm confronted with something that is new to me or confusing to me, the teacher in me kicks into high gear and it's, okay, where can I learn more about this so that I in turn can teach others who are in the same boat? That happened to me several years ago when someone that I love dearly came out as trans. And I had questions that I needed a lot of answers for. And that led me to PFLAG, which is a national organization. Let's talk about that weird acronym first. PFLAG?
Yeah, what's that stand for?
It used to stand for Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays.
Okay.
Obviously now the LGBT community is a much bigger tent than it was back in the 70s when PFLAG was formed. But we stuck with the acronym, even though it doesn't really stand for that anymore.
Gotcha.
So what hasn't changed is the motto that was there from day one, which is leading with love.
Nice. That's beautiful.
And that speaks to me as a teacher, that speaks to me as a yogi, and it speaks to me as someone who has a very loving relationship with a trans person. So
yeah, that's wonderful.
And
Peggy, I'd like you to know this too. I don't know, I've shared a little bit, but I also have family members that are trans. And then I also have students that are, grown now that also are. And so I've watched not only them go through the transition, but also their family. And so that's really why I wanted to have you on here, so that we can all help each other and get communication going on what's out there.
Well, and that's, you brought up a very salient point, and that is when someone in the family transitions, the entire family transitions, sometimes kicking and screaming, sometimes with some grace and some ease. Let me back up a little bit and just talk about what PFLAG is and what it does. It is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have 360 some chapters all over the United States. And we are the largest organization in the country that supports, advocates, and educates the parents and friends of the LGBT community. And what do we do in our meetings? Think AA.
Okay.
What's said in the meeting stays in the meeting. I know what I found so liberating about my first few PFLAG meetings, when I came in pretty shell-shocked and pretty raw. And the first thing you need to realize is that it's a safe place. It's a safe place. And you're talking to people who've been there.
Yes.
Because when something like this happens, it rocks your boat, no doubt. And you have questions and you're not sure who to ask.
Right.
Because let's face it, we're not in a place in time where that is a safe conversation to have.
Yes.
So PFLAG is that safe place. It was started, I want to mention, by one of my heroes, Jean Mumford, a teacher, okay?
Very nice.
Back in April 72, she lived in New York City where the first Stonewall protests were going, and her gay son was beat up and pushed down a flight of stairs by New York police, and she witnessed that. And her reaction was, nobody's going to do that to Morty. So the next day, she was in a parade, a pride parade, and she carried a sign that said, "Parents, support your gay children." Other parents saw that. Next thing you know, they're meeting in the basement of a Methodist church, and here we are umpteen years later, with a very important mission and message,
Yeah.
I think.
And I love that it was a mom, just related to a mom. And I know for me, that's why I even started this series, was because of my journey as a mom as well. So I relate to that story very well. I understand that passion, that mama bear that comes out sometimes. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So looping it, I know like you were talking about the love piece and like the community, and you know, we do know each other on this yoga level. And a lot of people, when they look at or think about yoga, they're thinking about the moves and the exercise, because that's what we do here in the Western world. Well, how does PFLAG and the yoga go together in your mind? I know you were sharing things prior to us chatting on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of intersections in my mind, because years ago when I started really getting serious about yoga, my yoga practice, let alone my yoga trainings, I did the deep dive into the 8 limbs.
Yes.
And if we're talking about the yamas and the niyamas, the things that speak so loudly that I hear in every PFLAG meeting are satya, which is truthfulness. It's a place where the truth can be said and the truth can be heard. And there are not a lot of places like that outside of the LGBTQ community. One of the things I've learned is it's a family. It's very much a family. Not that it's a closed system by any means. It's a welcoming family, but it has its own language. It has its own customs. It has its own ways of doing things. And it's all based on truthfulness. And that's so refreshing to be able to just walk into a group of PFLAG folks, and you can lay down the facade. You can take the mask off. You can kick your shoes off. And it's like, okay, let's get real here. And there are very few places that not only encourage, but foster that. So there's one intersection. Certainly the whole notion of self-study.
Yes.
Because so much of what I've heard in PFLAG meetings is people talking about their experiences, and it's not just allies and moms; it's members of the community as well, and it's a place for us to share and explore, and learn not just the truth about someone, but learn something about yourself too. It's like, ooh, there went that thought in my head all this time. I've been walking around with that. Well, that okay. And that's a liberating thing.
Yes. So you mentioned people from the community can come in to sit and talk and that's really cool. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's for. We have other fun kinds of things that, I mean, it's not all just like, white knuckle sort of, here we are. If somebody had told me that I was going to be spending my 70s planning drag bingo games, I'm not going to lie. This is a fun crowd. I am having the time of my life. Okay. I
love it.
Mom to so many people up and down 7th Avenue in Ybor.
Yes.
And we laughed about it at one time. It was like, for someone who doesn't drink and isn't gay, I spend an extraordinary amount of time in gay bars.
That's so great. And I'm sure they just adore you. I've seen pictures. I can see the love there. And I've also attended some of your events, which I have to say are so much fun.
Aren't they?
As soon as you walk in, it's exactly what you're saying. Even if you're not having necessarily those harder conversations, like just being in the environment is just
there's an energy.
Spirit up. Yeah.
There's a very sustaining and joyful kind of energy at Pride events. I've found that, I mean, again, let's be truthful. This is a very depressing atmosphere for the LGBT community. It's just been one hit after another. Um, I'm feeling a little bit of change in the wind. I hope, I hope, I hope. But when I really get down, it's like, okay, I need to find a pride event this weekend, because the energy and the joy and the community and the family feeling is just so uplifting and so nourishing.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. When I've been in group situations, like you said, it's not always easy. Sometimes that the rawness comes out and such. But I know for me, I learned so much by listening to other people and their
Hmm.
stories, which might have nothing to do with me in the moment. But down the line, I sometimes think back to like, oh, I remember when so and so said this. And either I can reach out to them or just
Hmm.
the story is there and I remember what worked and didn't for them as well, because most people are really honest in those situations.
Hmm.
So it sounds like PFLAG is like that as well, to
It
have that.
is. I think
Yeah,
the first couple of meetings I went to, I don't know that I said more than 2 or 3 words past my name.
yeah,
But I did a lot of listening, and part of it is just, okay, this is a whole new experience for me, and I don't even know I don't have the vocabulary to address what's happening in my head and in my heart right now. I don't
right,
even know what words to use. I don't want to be offensive to anybody. I don't want to be,
right, right.
so it's a pretty steep learning curve, or can be, if you've not been involved in it very much. In
Yeah,
your comings and goings. I remember one of the first meetings, the first meeting, everybody goes around and says, "Hi, my name is so and so, and my pronouns are she, her."
yep,
And I thought, well, I'm listening to people. I'm like fourth or fifth in the chain here, and I'm like, oh, we're doing pronouns. Why is it? Okay, whatever. I learned later, as time unfolded, how critically important and affirming that is to another human being, to be addressed by the pronouns that they have chosen to identify with.
yeah.
Um, it's a big deal. And okay, so the English teacher and me, especially with the they them, I'm like,
I was gonna wonder how that went.
how do I get? But you know what? That's my problem.
Yeah, yep,
So, and I think the other thing that being around this kind of environment does, in many ways, is normalize what can be a very shocking, turbulent kind of emotion. Once you realize that you're not alone on this ocean, and it's not just your boat rocking,
right,
um,
right.
things can, and there are people who have navigated this before. There are families who have dealt with it, some successfully, some not.
Yeah,
But whatever way you
exactly,
learn.
exactly.
So,
What I
and PFLAG is the place to do that, I guess, is what I'm saying. We are
Yeah,
not, let me just throw out one caveat we are not counselors. We are not mental health professionals.
gotcha.
Um, we're just people that have this in common and need a place to unload it all and be heard
Right.
without judgment and without expectations.
I love that.
Um, I should mention, just for an example, the woman who founded our chapter here in Riverview started it because she was a member of a large evangelical church in the area. And she and her entire family were asked to leave the church when her daughter came out as gay.
Oh my gosh. When they really needed the support, right? The most community, all the things.
They were, yeah, they were asked to leave. And this was a church where they had, that she and her husband had tons of friends there. Their children had been involved there. I mean, this is where they thought they would be spending the rest of their lives. And no, not so much. Excuse me, one moment.
Yes.
Terry?
No, I just Finnegan just got his eyeball stuff.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. Okay, go ahead.
You're good. You're good.
Anyway,
Life happens.
that when the same thing happened to her friend in another church, they started this chapter.
I love that they took that and ran with it and the strength.
Yes, because there's a lot of roads you can go
Yeah.
down after that happens.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Um, what I've noticed too with the people that I know well that did open up to me, and a lot of them opened up after the fact. It was like in the moment, which I understand too, because I've been there with certain things in my life that it's hard to even know who to trust to go to, like you're saying.
Oh yeah.
So they would tell me after the fact, sometimes because my story related to theirs a little bit. But what I noticed is, as a family trying to support the person going through this, there are some mental health things that happen, whether it's with
Mm-hmm.
the person going through it or the family. Like you said,
Mm-hmm.
it's the whole. So I think that's a big part why I feel so connected to these stories as well, because, you know, that's where my heart has always been, and why I studied psychology in the beginning of my college
Mm-hmm.
search as well. Um, and so you mentioned that you're not necessarily counselors,
Yeah.
but what would you suggest, just by like sitting in a meeting, like for a family, they come and seek out PFLAG, they have these great resources. Would that place be a place to maybe find counselors in the area that are very open to the community with, or, you know, like where do you find, if they need that? Some don't, I know, understand that.
I
Go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
I know some, I've seen people, not so much during, but after the meeting, you know, or chit chatting and that, and someone will ask another mom that, oh, you mentioned you went to a counselor. Who was that?
Yeah.
So that kind of information is available. We don't promote any particular counselors,
Sure.
or maintain, you know, approved lists or
Right.
anything like that. We're just folks holding each other up.
I love that. And what does that look like? I know you mentioned, like, you know, you have your events, and, you know, if they're like in between meetings, do people like reach out to each other, or how does
Oh
that
yeah.
work?
Oh
Okay.
yeah, we have a Facebook page, a community
Oh,
page.
nice. Okay.
Um, we have, and we're trying to get more, you know, non-meeting related events like, hey, how about a coffee hour or something like that that we can get together at? And I know members get together outside the meeting all the time.
I love that. I love that. When families first go through the whole unit, meaning families here, what are some of the first struggles that you see, not only going through it yourself, but also sitting in these meetings and listening? What is the first feelings and things that are kind of maybe the norm? I know we're all different, but what do you see?
Fear,
Fear. Yeah. You answered that
fear.
really quick, and
Yeah,
that makes complete sense.
yeah, fear.
Yeah.
Fear for your child's safety.
Mhm. Okay.
Fear of judgment.
Yeah.
Fear of the consequences of telling the truth outside of a protected zone.
Sure.
These days, the number one is fear,
Okay. Yeah.
followed closely by confusion.
Right.
And
Right.
that's just the, whew, what, I don't even know what pronouns to use here, or I
Yeah.
don't even know what the language is, or, um, and some people experience guilt.
Okay.
You know, there's the why me, why
Right.
our family.
Yeah.
And for some families who are very, very religious, it's a crisis of faith.
Right. That's a lot. All those things you just said are really
Hmm.
heavy. And to do it by yourself, I can't imagine the weight of that without support, um, like PFAG flag gives. I have a question. If somebody's living out in the middle of nowhere and there's no meetings nearby, are there options online to
Yes,
seek out?
there
Okay.
are.
Okay.
PFLAG National has a lot of resources available. And
Okay.
even if you're way out in the boonies, you can still contact your nearest meeting. And
Okay.
I know for like a lot of meetings, a lot of PFLAG groups are spread out like that, and they do Zoom. We
Okay.
did Zoom during COVID. I mean, it's not
Sure.
perfect, but you know, you can
Right.
always,
Right.
no, we'll find a way to loop you into the group if
Yeah.
need be.
There's a positive for the internet there, you know, to help people, you know, and
Hmm.
maybe they feel more comfortable jumping on Zoom at first or something, you
Right.
know, who knows. what does it look like to support, say a family member comes and I would honestly feel blessed that they felt comfortable with me. That's why I always want to make sure people know they can be. But if they came to me, what would be the best way to support them in those beginning stages?
Listen.
Okay.
Validate, hear them.
Okay.
A lot of people come like I was, and they're afraid to talk. So just listen.
Okay.
And even if there's not much said, just listen and be there, and maybe talk very little about, here's how I came. But I do that very lightly and very, I don't want to make the conversation about me, because it's not my story that's important. It's yours. So this is what brought me here.
Okay.
How about you?
I love
And
that.
if you want to just listen, that's fine too.
Yeah.
And
Saving
that's
space, right? Like we talk about that in yoga sometimes, just saving space
Holding-
for somebody,
holding space for
holding
someone.
space. Yeah.
Holding space. And I mean, we've had people come and all that they did the first meeting was sit and just cry.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yep.
Nobody's going to force anybody to say anything.
Right.
You can come when you want and you can leave when you want. I mean, this is an invitation, not a subpoena. So,
Right.
we're here for you. And if you can hint at what it is you might need, we can, just be there for you.
Yeah. I love that. This one's a little deep here. What have you learned about unconditional love through the work that you've been doing?
Well, one, that you sure find out just how unconditional it is.
Yeah.
But it's unconditional means unconditional. It means no matter what. And I think at the deepest level, everybody who loves somebody else knows that, whether it's a child, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a parent, there's that unconditional kind of love. It may take a while to sift down to get there, and there may be some confusion about the accoutrements and about the vocabulary and about the behaviors, but the love never changes. It's always there.
Yeah. And maybe the love doesn't, I'm just thinking sometimes the expectations are there, and it takes some time and some healing to return back to that, or to find that love from somebody else, whether it's the person sitting next to you at your meeting that night. Yeah.
There's a beautiful analogy I heard one time from a friend who very unexpectedly, had a child with Down syndrome. I think now they can see that many months into your pregnancy, and you can be prepared for it. But this was back in the dark ages when I was having kids. And so it was like, whew, surprise. And so it's kind of like the experience of you're planning this huge vacation to Rome. And so you have all the clothes you're going to wear in Rome because you know what the weather's going to be like, and you have your itineraries planned out because you know what's in Rome and you know what you want to see. So you get on the plane and you're all excited and you get off and you're in Beijing.
Yes.
It's like that.
Yes. Yeah. I've been there myself. I really do that as well. And then you're like, you got to throw the plan out and start and
that
accept
itinerary.
Where you are.
Yeah. So, and sometimes it's like that, is this what you expected? And you're like, no, but here we are. So what are you going to do?
And there's still so many beautiful gifts in Beijing, right?
Oh my gosh. Like I say, I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah. Can you share, are there any, and I know obviously we want to keep privacy because that's part of the meetings and stuff, but can you think of a situation or a family situation or a relationship where you've watched this beautiful maybe experience happen from the love that your association gives to people and how that turned out? Maybe they came in really scared and And maybe it's everyone you're thinking of, you know, like that comes through the door, but is there one that sticks out for you?
I don't know that there's one that sticks out. I've seen it happen a lot where people come in and yeah, they're pretty rattled, but after a while they're okay.
Yeah.
They're okay. I think it, like I say, it normalizes it, and it's a safe place to talk.
Yes. Yes.
So what is very, very I don't even know what the word I want is. What's very, very different for a lot of families or unknown is your new reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's maybe not just, and that's not just LGBTQ stuff. That's a whole spectrum of mental health things or physical disabilities, or all of a sudden it's like, whoo, our family's a little different because, you know,
Right. Right.
and it's a place where they can be different.
Yeah.
And that difference is supported, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of places it's not.
Yes. Yes. And I would think the families of the different people you just mentioned, we should all be really extra supportive in my head, because we do understand. It's not always necessarily the case that way, but I don't know. What would you like to see, like, in the ideal Peggy world?
Ooh.
World to be like, I know, let's dream, to be more safe, because I know you were saying that fear is involved in the first thoughts. Like, what would it look like in your world for everyone to feel comfortable in their own skin?
That's a tall order.
I like to dream, Peggy.
Certainly, it would be a world where someone's gender identity really isn't an issue. It all comes under the category of who cares.
Right.
Right. And it's really no one's business except the people who are living it, you know. And I don't.
It's back to love. It's back to love. Just love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I truly, I mean, I truly don't understand what the turmoil about it is. I really don't.
I know.
One of the women, and this is the other thing about PFLAG. It's like, it's not, yes, you can join, you can pay your dues and you can join, but a lot of people come to a few meetings, they get what they need, and then they move on. And that's fine. We've served our purpose in your life, and you were here if you need us. I mean, it's not you must be here no, it's not that way. Some people come for a while and then leave, and maybe they come back, and you know, it's like AA in the sense that there are times when you need the meeting and times when the meeting needs you.
Yes.
And when you find yourself in a place where you have expertise or strength to share, then you come back and you help.
Well, what resources do you wish more people knew about for the community, if there's beyond, you know, what we've already talked about?
Oh my gosh, there's, you know, I'm like up to my neck. I'm on 2 LGBTQ boards now.
Okay.
Yes, there is a lot of stuff out there. Because PFLAG is a 501c3, we are not necessarily a very political organization. We can't be and keep our nonprofit status. We can advocate for issues. I mean, we can blast out something, you know, call your senators about bill, whatever, but we cannot endorse or support candidates.
Okay. Okay.
That's the big. However, there's a lot of organizations that can. And if things are going to change in any different directions for the LGBTQ community, it's going to be at the ballot box. So there are Equality Florida is very involved in those kinds of efforts. The Human Rights Campaign is a national organization that does a lot of on the ground voting registration and work for that. There are one of the most worn out apps on my phone for the last couple of years has been one called 5 Calls.
Okay.
And that makes contacting your congressional representatives and your senators on both the state and federal levels so easy. You click on in the front page of the app, and you have a number of topics, and it even gives you a script if you don't want to talk to. But at this point, I mean, that app's getting like worn out on my phone, and I got Senator Scott and Senator Moody on speed dial now.
Yeah. We're like, there's Peggy again.
There's that woman again. But you know what? It matters. They
Yeah.
tally those calls, even if you leave a voicemail. So they're a League of Women Voters. There are a lot of groups out there that are working for some change, and it's like I say, I may be all goofy about it, but I'm feeling a little change in the wind out there.
Yeah.
So hopefully it will help.
Good.
I'm going to be spending a good chunk of my summer getting voters registered in Florida.
Love it.
There's an August 6th deadline before the midterm elections to make sure you're registered to vote.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Is there anything else for those listening that you would like to share that we haven't touched upon during our conversation here?
I think one of the biggest things I've learned is how much things that people who are not in the community think are trivial are critical to people in the community. I'm wearing my Pride shirt today. Here we are, and it's because it's Pride Month. And I've already gotten a couple people, well, what do we need Pride Month for? It's just, if you're a cis straight human being in our culture, your marriage has never been challenged. Your right to adopt or have children has never been challenged. Your right to housing or jobs has not been challenged. Your privilege protects you. That's why there's a Pride Month.
Yes.
Because there are people out there who are going to go to bed tonight and feel that they'd be better off dead than to get up the next morning and do it again. So I wish people understood how much their privilege protects them. If you are not LGBTQ, if you are, you walk around through life in this bubble of, oh, look at me living my life. I'm getting married. I got a job. I got a house. I got kids. Life is good. It's not that way for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people don't get that.
No. And their comments, whether it's online or in person, really do cut like a knife sometimes.
They're devastating. They're devastating.
Yeah. And not just the people going through it, the families and the cousins and you're not realizing how much you're hurting others by what you say.
And ignorance really isn't bliss.
I agree.
I mean, if ignorance was bliss, a lot of people would be deliriously happy right now.
Yeah.
And please, feel free to stop me if I'm going down a road that we don't want to. But I also wish that people understood that religion is a comfort, not a cudgel. Because so often faith is used as a weapon against the LGBTQ community.
Agreed completely.
And, people are free to believe what they like. I'm not ever going to challenge that. But to use that as a weapon against a whole group of people, we've already seen, we did it with slavery.
Yes.
There were biblical justifications for slavery during the Civil War. And now we have the, people hauling out the phrases from this, that, and the other thing, not understanding that those phrases have been mistranslated over time.
100%. It's back to what you started with. And I feel it in my heart as well as to teachers, not just yoga teachers, but like in a classroom.
Educators.
And educate yourself and keep educating yourself, because that's what I find, and it's frustrating. I know for me, sometimes I want to engage in a conversation that becomes heated in these times. And sometimes that is not the place to put your energy. It might be going to the app, like you just said, and calling or, texting or whatever your senators, rather than taking 5 hours on Facebook fighting a fight that they're not going to hear anyway.
No.
So like redirecting your energy in places that will educate you, and then also truly support the community, as I feel that they should be.
And affect some change. I mean, I've had a lot of people ask me over the last couple of years, it's like, how you are like not just supporting, you are leaning into this, and you are spending, every time I try and get a hold of you, you're at some, drag bingo, or you're at a parade, or you're here, or you're there. Come join me. I'm having a ball. But I have got to do something to move the needle a little bit, for my own sanity. I think if you succumb to the despair and the apathy that, oh, well, it's just the way it is, and I guess I'm just going to have to muddle my way through it, then I can't go down that road. I have to do something to try and move the needle. Am I going to change the world, one bingo game at a time? I don't know, maybe.
Maybe.
But
Awareness.
The Talmud says if you save one life, you've saved the world.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Maybe if somebody sees an old bat like me carrying a banner at a parade, they'll think, well, geez, either she's really gone over the edge, or there's something to this. Yes. I can't just stay quiet and stay acquiescent. I have to do something. So here we all are.
I am so grateful that you are, and it helps inspire myself and others around you completely. So I thank you so much for taking your time this afternoon to come on and have a conversation.
My pleasure. And that is not perfunctory at all. It is truly my pleasure. PFLAG Riverview has a Facebook page.
Okay.
And we meet at the Regent in Winthrop.
Yes.
That beautiful big building.
Beautiful building.
Yeah. That's where we meet the second Tuesday of every month at 7:00.
Do people have to let you know they're coming ahead of time, or can they just show up?
Nope, just show up. No, this is not an RSVP. Come when you can, leave when you need to. Nobody takes attendance. We may ask for your email just so we can send you updates on things. But if you choose not to share that with us, nobody's got any beef with that.
Okay. That's beautiful. Peggy, thank you for coming on. I look forward to maybe doing some more videos with you with yoga and different things that we're talking about. But I really, really thank you for helping people understand this a little more.
I've done yoga classes for the community, because a lot of, especially trans people, don't feel comfortable doing yoga in regular studios.
Yeah.
Because reasons,
Sure.
So I've done a lot of those.
That's a whole video in itself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
thank you for doing that as well. Thank you. Much love, and
much love to you too.
Until next time, I'm gonna sign off here.